Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Jordan here. So today, after many attempts, I thought it would just be a good idea just to start with something very basic. And that is another FM patch. So I'm going to create a combinator, right click, create a subtractor. And for right now, instead of going above the waveforms, I'm actually just going to set both of these to positive and set it to octave 2. And turn up the FM amount. And let's take the phase about 80% on the second oscillator, turn up the range about 12, and the polyphonic 13. Very basic right now, but we're gonna send this about -3 for octave 2. So that way the first oscillator is starting in the regular position, while the second oscillator is starting in the exact same position, just microseconds behind itself, so it creates this kind of wider effect. Kind of sounds like Juno 60. Now the idea is to have an offset balance between the two. And that's good because I turned up the FM to about 32, which causes them to counteract with each other. Now if I turn up the mod wheel, we'll start to see this happen a little bit quicker. That sounds pretty cool. So right now I'm going to right click and I'm going to create an RV 7000. I don't know why it's called 7000. Turn the wet down to 12 and the decay down to like 2 or 3. Turn on the EQ and plug in the remote programmer. Take it to plate and turn the damp to about 20% and the pre-delay about 93 milliseconds. Then right click, create screen 4 distortion. Right click that and we're going to use a maximizer. And right before the screen 4 distortion, I forgot to add a equalizer. Now, if only I could program this preset so that way I don't have to do it every time. I'm going to take this to 205, down the gain, Q up all the way. And instead of going to 545, we're going to go into 2.5 kilohertz. And take the gain all the way down and the Q all the way up. High shelf frequency down, the gain about 2.9, and the high Q all the way off, if you can, or at the lowest it will go. Now, for now, I'm gonna scroll through all these different distortion units and see which one works. I thought fuzz was a good one because if I go to modulate, it just becomes so distorted you can't recognize the signal. And that's not what we want to do. So I'm going to turn on low cut. Now, right after screen 4 distortion, we're going to use the cut and take off, I think, 20 of the low. Boost the mid about 7 and the high, I think 7 too. That's good. So right now I'm going to go in utilities, create a pulsar. This is by far the coolest thing I think I've seen in a while. Next to auto filter in Ableton. Right now I'm going to take P2 because that's what creates the second band or the second frequency to radically change. Take it to LFO 1 and 2 output, so that way we can combine the two signals to get a much crazier sound. I'm also going to turn on both of them, turn this about 0.98 hertz and level about 70. Both of them. because we don't want one to be higher than the other. Now I'm going to fiddle around with this rate and see what I can get. Okay, so I decided to turn each one about 3/4 of the way, and I fiddle around with the first level just to see what actually comes up. The rate for the first LFO is 1/8, and the second one is 1.8 hertz. For now, this sounds alright, but I'm going to make it sound a little bit more crazy. So right before the pulsar, I'm going to create a unison. And I'm going to change it to 4 voices, to tune 56%, and dry wet about 20%. There we go. So that sounds a little bit better, and I'm also going to turn on the soft clip, set this auto, and take off the limiter and look 4 minutes ahead. Milliseconds, I'm sorry, not minutes. That'd be way too slow. So right now, I went up back to subtractor, and this sounds alright, but I want to detune it a little bit more. So I'm actually going to go up to the first oscillator one and turn this into about 3. So that way it's ahead 3 seconds and the second one is behind 3 cents. So that way they can both coexist peacefully in their weird states. So right now I'm actually going to turn this frequency on the mod filter down to 16 and the FM about 12. That sounds a little bit better, but we're still getting that screeching sound we don't want. So I'm going to turn on the body, set it to E, turn everything halfway, including the reso. That sounds a little bit better, but we're still getting that screeching effect. So I'm actually going to go down to the equalizer and bring it down about 4 decibels. That sounds better. Let's see if we raise it to 1.7 then. Okay, so negative 2.9 on the high shelf should do it. And that we will call this patch Hummingbird. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's a very basic one. And tune in Wednesday when we will be talking about a more exaggerated example with when you combine 4 oscillators in FM and what was the word? FM. Oh, and feedback. So tune in Wednesday for feedback and more oscillators. Thanks for joining.